Just a brief announcement. Mr. Gaius of the Planning Board just wanted the body to know that, see if I got this right from memory, there will be an information session and Q&A on the new MBTA zoning law passed by the state at the Council on Aging, I think May 18, ma'am, at 7 p.m. So information presentation and opportunity for citizens to engage and ask questions. I get all that right, Mr. Gaius? Very good. Okay, I've been advised by the clerk that we have a quorum. Thank you for coming back. At this point, we're ready to go to Article 32. Yes, sir. Can we get your mic on? Actually, you know what? I could pause, sir. I forgot. We're going to try to run a test vote on clickers. We could just pause and make sure our clickers are okay. So, folks, again, instructions again. If everyone could get your clicker out, we'll run another test vote and make sure we don't get any red lights. Everybody's ready? Okay, if we could open up the poll. Again, 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for abstain.
One, two.
Now, sir, thank you for your patience. You're recognized. Oh, actually, let me get this out. It looks like, anybody have any problem with clickers? I see one. Okay, we'll wait for the member. Rob, we have one coming over on your left. Any other problem with clickers? Okay. How's everybody doing? Tired? Yeah. Yes. Well, that's handling. I was at a mass moderators meeting on Sunday, and I met a gentleman who'd been moderator for 40 years. Small town, open town meeting. And he said, it took me about 10 years to kind of get the hang of it. And I said, well, how many town meetings do you have a year? He said, well, 1. How many nights are they? Well, 1. So I think I got 5 years of experience coming up tonight, thanks to this process. Let alone the 16 before this. But anyways. All right, with that, clicker's okay. Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Thanks, Mr. Moderator. Nick Tagney, Precinct Member, Town 3. I appreciate your time prior to the meeting to clarify some of the policies. I have, I guess, two questions that I'm hoping you could explain to the body. One is, I'd like to reopen the question last night. I understand I do not have standing because I voted against the motion and I need to be voting in favor of it to reopen the item. I also would primarily like to protest the vote with the standing based on the rules that you described for us last Monday. I understand because we had a motion to adjourn, that's also not possible. I was hoping that you could explain to the body both of those points because I, for one, am disappointed that we didn't get to see the process to conclusion. I think the motion to adjourn came awfully quickly in a very chaotic environment. And I'm hoping you could explain to the body so that everybody has that same transparency that you were generous enough to share with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tanguy. So there were 2 questions the gentleman raised. Last night, after we had adjourned the meeting for the evening, a member came up to me and said that they had stood and believed there were at least 7 people who had stood calling for what we used to call the standing count, which now under our temporary rule would have displayed the list of voters and how you all, the members and how you all voted. And they're asking, well, since they were missed last night, or I missed them, or I wasn't aware they were standing in the sudden adjournment and everyone rising and exiting, shouldn't they have an opportunity to rise now as 7 and then run the count? So I consulted with town council and I consulted actually with Mr. Walsh to see, do we have any experience of ever having a standing count on a subsequent night after we'd had an adjournment? And in my experience, I've never seen that. Mr. Walsh has never seen that as a moderator. He had no further recollection of that in his history as a town meeting member. Second, when I spoke to town council, Although you are still town meeting members, the body is different. I don't know who actually stood up, who didn't. I'm not saying anyone is dishonest. I just don't know, and neither do you. Third, the motion to adjourn is one of the primary motions of town meeting. It's one of the top three. When it happens, as soon as it's seconded, it is not debatable, and we must immediately go to a vote, and we did. And so in my view, that last night's vote stands, and I will not permit now 7 members to rise and protest last night's vote. Now, the second question is, can we reopen 31? Now, traditionally, it's been fairly simple. We just have to have a member come up and say, I'd like to reopen 31. There's a second. If we're within an hour of the article, it only takes a majority vote. If it's more than an hour, it takes 2/3. But when we've been running on a voice vote for almost all of our history, we could never tell who was a proponent and opponent. And one of the rules of town meeting time is only a proponent may reopen an article. So if it would take someone who voted, one of the 2/3 of you that voted last night for the article, to come down and make a motion to reopen, and then there could be a second and we could have a vote on reopening. So that's why Mr. Tangi, I think we could check, but I believe he was not one of the proponents, so I could not honor his motion to reopen 31. But in the interest of being fair, we can check the vote from last night. Is there a member who voted for 31 last night that wishes to make a motion to reopen 31? Thank you. Seeing that, my ruling would then be that the vote last night was closed. I'm sorry we missed 7 people standing up. I'm sorry? Yeah. Raise his hand for. Okay, could you just come to a quick microphone and just introduce yourself?
I'm Paul Needham. I'm a town meeting member from Precinct 3. I voted in favor of the article last night, and I moved to reopen Article 31.
Okay. I'll be thorough. We'll just check the log. Thank you, Mr. Needham. Is there a second? Second. Right. If you'll pause for a minute, let me just check the log and make sure we're thorough so that there's no. I'll verify that, but while I'm doing that, I'll just have town council check, and I'll go look at the log. Thank you. That's what I'm just going to confirm with town council, make sure I'm on solid ground. So, thank you.
Hey, Kevin.